Monkey D. Garp doesn't like to ruin lives, but when he does, he makes sure it's old-ass pirates. So this week's episode of One Piece, I felt it was more consistent than last week, opposed to last week's episode where it was mostly just like fighting and then like a really epic moment at the end. This episode felt, for the most part, like there was things happening all over. It was like, okay, you got the fight with Luffy and Don Chinjao, you got some progressions with the Tontadas, you have different things going on. So in that aspect, I kind of liked it because you got the epicness of Luffy and Don Chinjao, and then you have within it some story progression as far as like you're finding bits and pieces of what the hell Don Chinjao been going on about with his grudge against Garp while they're going at it. So I really like the way it was done in that aspect because you have different things going on at the same time, so to speak. So I like the way this One Piece episode was handled because last week's episode, as obviously you saw my review, it just felt like mostly all fighting, but this one it had fighting, but things was moving as the fights were going on. Definitely will make anybody wonder just what the hell did Garp do to Don Chinjao to make this guy cry? He just like in the middle of a thing, it made me like feel a little bit awkward, I'm not gonna lie, because seeing this in the manga and then, you know, reading this in the manga and seeing this in the anime, two different like feelings, because in the manga I was kind of like cringing like god damn, but in the anime to actually see it and you get the voice actor and everything about it, it just comes to life and I'm like, Jesus, like what the fuck did Garp do to him? He's like, 30 years ago he basically ruined my life, you don't know what it's like, what did he do to me? And I'm just thinking to myself like, god damn Garp, you're something else, dog. If you could make this old legendary pirate, what he had like 500 million bounty or some shit on his head, he was crazy, like you making him cry, you ruined his life, you're a strong ass beast. I mean, we already knew that. He went up against Roger, whatnot, but god damn. And I just like that you're getting little bits and hints here or there as it's going on with the fights, and he's just like, he's breaking down, he can't take it, but at the same time, he's like, he doesn't know if he wants to be angry or sad because of what Garp did to him. And I like how Luffy is just like, I don't give a fuck already, I told you, go tell my grandfather, and he just like picks him up and drops him down. Like, that was one of my favorite moments of the episode. He was just like, I don't care, can you stop telling me about my grandfather? Go tell him. Now, going to the Doflamingo Law Fujitora situation, I don't remember Fujitora dropping that many meteors. I remember the one specific time when he dropped it, but this is, I believe, meteor number 4 now. He dropped 2 in this episode, and I believe 2 in the last time he dropped the meteors. Starting to feel a little bit like, I don't remember it again in the manga, so I'm not going to count it against it, but definitely feels like the impact of the meteors, you know, when it first dropped, like the meteor, like, holy shit, feels a lot less impactful when it's constantly dropping. And at the same time, you are seeing like Law is scared as shit, but it's like, you know, what's going on? Why is he dropping so many of these things? And it's making the impact of the prior one, you know, the beginning one, feel a little bit less like, you know, impactful, like holy shit, because he's just constantly dropping them in the episode. But again, I don't remember if that was in the manga or not, so I'm not going to count it against it or whatnot. But ultimately, it was kind of making me feel a certain way, just seeing that many of the goddamn meteors dropping left and right. But at the same time, like, there's two sides of the coin, because then you're looking at Law, and there's a couple of shots where Law just looks like he's petrified, and he's trying to contact Nami, and then he has no help. So really liking the way things are looking very desperate right now. It's making it a little bit more like dragged out, but it's good in that sense, because if you're making an epic fight like this dragged out, even though, yeah, the meteor scene and whatnot, I'm kind of uncomfortable with seeing that many times, ultimately it's making it more of a cohesive and nice looking, you know, dire situation, so to speak, because he has Doflamingo and Fujitora on him dropping meteors left and right. He's running for his life, he has nobody to help him. So yeah, even though they're dragging it out, if anything, it's making this particular part better, because it's just, this is a fucked up situation. And then we learn a little bit more about the toys, and this is the tragic part of Dressrosa. And I feel as though, you know, coming into New World, first we had Punk Hazard, which was a fucked up wasteland. Well, it was one half just like ice frozen, and then another half it was melting all fucked up with fire and blah 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 blah. This one, while Dressrosa seems like on the outside it was a paradise and whatnot, you're getting to learn with this episode that things aren't what they seem, and like while everything looks like, oh, it's beautiful, and the inside is where the ugliness comes in, because you're just seeing like people's lives are ruined, there's laws, toys and humans can't go in each other's houses, and then like we find out in this episode that the toys are basically seemingly humans that have been forgotten. When that toy is like, yo, you're my wife, what is going on? And then she's like, get away, scared. Like, that felt like a little bit freaky in a way if you look at it. And that's the dark side, and that's like the new world aspect of this, because if you really look closely at it, you're having your whole life ruined if you get turned into a toy. Your whole life is down the drain. Your family's lives are different. Like, you got that little one Poco dog there, and he's like, yeah, that's my wife and that's my kid, and there's nothing he could do. Like, that's almost like you're dying of hunger, and there's a snack machine right in front of you, but you don't have $1 to get something out of there. That's basically the situation. There's nothing he could do. His family's right there, and all he could do is pretend to be this one Poco dog. So I kind of felt bad in a way with that situation. And just, again, that's just giving the exposition of how fucked up this place is in the inside. The ending scene with the Tontadas, I did not want to see the Tontadas sewing. He was like sewing everything together. He's like, oh, the earthquakes, everything. That one scene, it was a short one, so it didn't bother me too much, but definitely a useless one. Like, I do not want to see Tontada sewing, and it's just, no, get it out of here. But they're ready to set out, so we got some setup there, and we got some progression as far as the Tontadas are going to go now, and they're going to start with their plan. So good stuff in that aspect. Overall, as a whole, I felt it was a good episode. Some stretching here or there, and a lot of fighting, but ultimately there was some epic bits, and it was just progressing things along. We're learning a little bit more about how fucked up Dressrosa really is with the toys, and just everything that's going on the inside of it. Dressrosa is like, it's beautiful on the outside, but you just get a couple of layers deep, and it's just like, yeah, this is fucked up. And I'm just really liking some of these fights right now. Luffy versus Don Chinjao is hype, and the Law, triangle, this desperate situation is like, fuck, I feel bad for Law. So yeah, 7 out of 10, good episode. But let me know what you guys think of it. First of all, that whole thing with the meteors, did he really use the meteors this many times? And if he didn't indeed use it this many times in this fight, how is that making you feel? And as far as like the fight with Luffy and Don Chinjao, how are you enjoying it? For me, right now, I'm really liking it. It's just like, you got Don Chinjao, a wreck there. He's angry and sad. But then you got Luffy like, I don't give a fuck. And it's just making for one hell of a Jim Ross voice slobber knocker, folks. Just your raw thoughts of the episode. But that's all I have for this review. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you liked anything I had to say or enjoyed the video, drop me a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day.